Hello there, UKDCers. Today it's time to review the May Barlow at last. This is in Buffalo Horn and Turquoise, and it's D2 steel. I bought this for £105 off of michaelmayknives.com. You can go and check out all this stuff there. I'm just going to get this out of the way very, very quickly. Okay, so if you've seen my first impressions of this, you'll remember I received this knife in less than spectacular condition. The centering was horrible. I've fixed that. That's pretty much spot on now. The lineup of that is still pretty bad, but it was much worse. And there's now zero blade play. To fix that, I had to pinch these two together real damn hard, and that little pin there actually protruded, and I had to like peen it and then sand it down, or like I just use compound really. It's surprisingly effective on this brass. That's not ideal. This is a really nice knife, and I was very impressed with just, you know, the overall feel of it, how ergonomic it is, that kind of thing. But a lot of you sort of introduced me to these and told me, when you're spending this kind of money and you're getting those kind of flaws, you might as well get a GC because they're much better quality for the money. So I did a little bit of digging. I was like, I'm very happy to accept that sometimes I just get lemons. If you're familiar with the UK knife scene, you might know that Sheffield has a little bit of a reputation, and that's for a good reason. So I got one of the bad ones, it looks like. I'm not alone. I've seen, I haven't got the pictures or anything like that, but I've been speaking to like one or two people, and they've also, they've got friends and that lot as well who've had Michael May knives, and they said a lot of them have been, you know, they've had something on them that's been pretty awful, pretty, you know, below standard kind of thing. So just something to keep in mind. That said, jumping into the review properly, if you do get a good one, and this is fine for me, like it is now, I am super happy with this. You know, the centering spot on, the action's fine. There's no blade play anymore. That was honestly the thing that annoyed me the most, the blade play. Like I said, that's still a tiny, like, you know, you can see it's just off there, and it's like pushing into this bolster. But honestly, that's acceptable to me. That's completely acceptable on a handmade knife, something like that. I will say it was a bit much. Call it, you know, because I guess I'm still in the honeymoon period. I am still very impressed by this knife, but just keep in mind, inspect it immediately when you open it. You might need to send it back. So that's something to keep in mind. Anyway, that's 4 minutes of rubbish. Let's just do the actual review of the knife I have in my hand now. Spring strength on this is incredibly strong. I think this is the top of my charts at the moment. This is 1.2 kilos to open and 1.3 to close. I've complained about knives that are difficult to open, and this is the second hardest to open that I had. I think the first was the small number 14 GEC, the Northfield. But because this has such a nice deep, like big thumb, like nail nick there, because it goes in so deep and it's got a lot of relief, it's not that bad. And you can also grab the other side really easily. I don't have any issue with that. That's really not a nail breaker or anything like that. You can really get a good, I suppose, because you can angle your nail as well, so you can, you know, push with the front of your nail instead of pulling like that. But, you know, despite being a really difficult open using the spring scale I've got, it's not uncomfortable. It just works. So kudos to that. What I really do like about this knife is the grip on it. Yeah. This is such a nice size for a Barlow. It really is a lovely size. It fills up the whole hand. It's that lovely teardrop shape, and you get like just this little bit of firework adds as like a nice bit of grip just to put your thumb on there. You have all the spring strength in the world, really. No one's going to complain at the spring strength this has. You'd be absolutely fine. But yeah, that's just such a nice grip. But yeah, it is rather lovely, this thing. You of course have your firework on the spine there, which is very, very nice, and that carries onto the blade. Just like that. Very nice stuff. Because this doesn't have any website specs, you've got 92mm on the handle. Nice. You got 69 on the entire blade, and just for the cutting edge, 64. Sorry, I know this sucks, but I don't have a thing. 14 thickness. Well, what's it at its thickest? 15 at its thickest point, just at the arse here, and then 2 at the top, and then literally right behind the edge is that. There you go. That's about all anyone should really want, isn't it? And I guess the weight. And there you go. Shade under 80 grams. Probably weighed 80 grams before I took that bit of the pin out, to be fair. So that's your specs. That's all you're getting for that, really. Blade material, like I said, is D2. Let's see how well that's held up. So I did reprofile this completely. When I got this, you can see like that's a completely different. If I get my grubby mitt prints off of that, you can see the original line there, and you can see I've completely, like just at the edge, gotten rid of that and put a new edge all the way on it with a fair bit of stropping. And I think the edge I've put on here is better than the one you get. It's I did that as when I first got it though, so I haven't sharpened it since then. So this is a proper retention test, albeit a fairly useless one. It's like I said, it's always just very light EDC. At worst, it's cardboard, and it's not that much. It's a couple of box bits every day. And I haven't carried this every day. I've probably carried this for say 9 days, I think, since I got it. So 9 days worth of general EDC tasks without so much as a strop. And look, that's fine for D2. That's in fact really good for D2. It's not super slicey. It's not as slicey as when I first did it. Don't get me wrong, that's still great. It's not gliding as easily as most of the M390 I have. When I first did this, it was really effortless. Now it's like, you can feel it, look, you can see it's like tearing a little bit more than it's just gliding through it. Whereas, if I get, say, I don't know, something like this. It's almost no different, really. Oh, there you go, look. See that? That's like a nice neat cut there. Whereas that's all like a proper tear. So it's definitely lost a little bit, but it's minor. It's really, really minor what it's lost. Still sharp, absolutely what I'd call a fine edge. It's just, it suffered a tiny bit. You know, I'd probably need to just give that a quick strop and it comes straight back. Like, really, really well. So the heat treat seems good to me. You know, that's more than I'll ever need. So that's bang on that D2. Really happy with that. All you get on the blade is the little Michael May, Sheffield, and then hidden away, and you can only see it when you lift it up, is the little England there. A nice solid snap close. It's got a great walk and torque on it. And there's no half stop, it's just sort of rocks. So it's just a 2-point on this, and you can see there in the end how that operation works. There's no half stop point or anything, it's just a nice smooth curve. And I think that's probably what makes it easier to open. Even though it's such a strong pull, all you need to do is get it just past there, and now it's just a nice rock open, and then you've got all the leverage in the world. Like, I'm not even putting my finger in that anymore now. I grab the end of the blade and use that. So yeah, it's really just to pop it past there, and then I finish off with my finger. So yeah, you do get a nice little sharpening choil there, which I'm very appreciative of, because I've needed that a fair bit. Well, just when reprofiling it anyway. And look, you can see I haven't even screwed anything up on the blade, reprofiling anything, and you know I'm notorious for ruining my expensive knives. I do love to. Like I said, centering when I got this was horrific, really bad. Look, like I said, I fixed it, and I was still happy with the general quality of the knife, but how that got let out of his workshop is beyond me. I know he's got a apprentice at the moment, so I don't know if his apprentice made this one or if he made this one. It should have still gone through his, like, gone under his eyes though, and I can't believe I had to finish making this knife. So something to think about there. Like I said, this was my first traditional custom, so didn't really know what to expect, but I've since seen much better examples from other custom makers, and again, traditionals like GC will nail it for that money. So it's not really, you know, I would definitely want to retract my I'd say over forgiveness in the first impressions of this. The same with the back of that. Like I said, that's definitely not perfect. I'm genuinely okay with that. Okay, I know a lot of people will be very annoyed about that. As you can clearly see, the blade is slightly off kilter, and there's a gap this side and not that side. So that will anger some people. All I care about is their blade play, and there is none. Literally nothing. If you'd focus, look at that. You can see me wiggle in the end, and you can see that is not moving between those bolsters. That makes me a very happy boy, because I was a little downtrodden after I'd spoken to those other people, and they'd said their Michael Mays hadn't lived up to their expectations either. But where I managed to fix it, I'm personally now fine with this. It's broken in, it's you know, it's a bit beaten up now, and I'm happy. You know, I can just use it and get on with it. This is a work knife now. There's nothing, you know, it's a very pretty knife. The turquoise, the buffalo horn works really well. That clip point is lovely. I do love that firework. But in a sense, now I can just really batter this and use this and have it looking nice and not have to baby it or anything like that. I can just really go to town. And this is the one in my collection to go to town with, because it does have the strongest back spring. So when it closes, it will just snap to there. That's not ideal. You sort of get blocked by that extended bit on the tang, but I wouldn't trust that. So it's not like it's got a finger choil or anything to save you. This of course has no blade wrap or anything. Look at that gap between the blade and the back spine there. There is no worry of that. You can go all the way down. So let's do a quick size comparison. Let's do the Americans first. A PM2, a Griptilian, a mini Griptilian, and a 940. So you can see it's very much mini Griptilian size. For the UK market or like Europe, you know, it's about the same size as a Victorinox Pioneer, slightly smaller than your UK PK, and obviously larger than your teeny tiners like the Fox Bean Gen 2 there. So this one, I don't feel like I can recommend this because I've heard of too many problems that people have had. I mean, if you go and see Paddy changed his mind after initially being quite positive, just like I did, after speaking with some other customers, and it's just not great. If you're willing to put that out, you know, like I said, there's better you can get for that same money. But if you do really like them, and you know you're happy to go through the hassle of sending it back, maybe waiting for another one. It's 4 to 6 weeks turnaround on these, so you know maybe it's worth a shot for you. If you can get them to send you pictures in advance, or see him at Blade Show. I know he goes around to some of the UK like Blade meetups and stuff. The gun shows and things like that they have over here. I know they're a lot smaller than the US crazy ones, but they're still about. And I've seen pictures on his Instagram of him at a couple of those, so you might be able to pick one up there and inspect it first. Other than that, like I said, I'm not going to recommend them because it seems like there's a fair chance you'd have to send it back. Eric from Stick Slicers, he got a couple, and both of his seemed to be fine. Mine was a bit off, and like I said, another guy I spoke to was a bit off. He knew a couple of people that had theirs, or some of theirs, a bit off. It just seems like it's a bit of a throw of the dice, and you know, it's just Sheffield, isn't it? It's just the Sheffield curse. Like I said, I'm still going to happily use this. I really do like it personally. It's such a lovely knife in hand. It's a really is a pleasure to work with this thing. I'm glad I got it, despite the problems. Your mileage may vary, and I know a lot of people are going to see the problems as completely unacceptable. Well, thank you very much. Cheers, guys.